Welcome to the Stoppage Time edition of the Pitch to Pro podcast. This is a highlight reel of some of the best moments from the show so far, and every other week we will be bringing you a special 5 to 7 minute segment featuring the best stories, tales, and moments of the podcast. From your lens, I don't know how much you are watching or involved or not in the pro sports landscape, but as somebody who deals with large amounts of capital and handling that and watching deal flow and all of those things in kind of the VC world and being an entrepreneur and investor, just speak a little bit about, if you can, anything that you have seen from pro sports and maybe soccer in general.
Well, I mean,
from that lens.
It's been an incredible transformation in pro sports over the last 30 years, no doubt about it. And who would have dreamed, even if we go back and we look at what Jerry Jones did with the Cowboys, and I don't have these numbers memorized, but I think he put $250 million, which people thought was insane when he did it. And, and I think it's one of the most valuable pro sports franchises in the world, probably worth somewhere, north of $6 billion, just guessing, maybe even more, maybe it's even close to 10.
Yeah, I think the last number I saw was like 9.3 or something like that.
And so, and as it relates to soccer, one of the things I think is super interesting to watch the growth is that, you had when I'm closing in on 60. And when I was in high school, both high schools that I went to 2 different high schools, had soccer teams. But plenty of people that I know that are my age went to places that didn't have soccer teams. Now, that's not true today. I'm sure there's high schools in Arkansas that don't have soccer, but the vast majority of high schools all over the United States have soccer teams, and most people, that are younger generations played FIFA on an Xbox. They can tell you who Messi is, even if they don't love soccer, right? They still have some sort of working knowledge. If I went back to when I first started working in the 80s, if you had suggested at that time, let's take a customer out to a soccer game, that would not have been a thing. First off, you couldn't have done it, but let's just say you could have done it. You wouldn't have had guys that were, running the things back then. The 56-year-olds then would have been like, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. That's not true today, right? So that's a big change, and just in terms of how people think about what they want to do and spend their time. But if we look at the MLS or even the secondary leagues, the USL, et cetera, these franchises have started off at small dollars. You could get into the MLS for $10 million, not even that long ago. Today, I think San Diego, I think they had to put $500 million up and build a stadium. And I don't think they used a lot of public money on the stadium, but I could be wrong on that. And, and they're doing it because they look at it and go, this is the new frontier, and so I think it's super interesting in that regard. Let me say one other thing too. I think that's interesting as it relates to Arkansas, and this is true for me in a business sense, but I think it's true in sports too. I think that look, if we could go leap forward 20 years in time and reflect back on today, right, and we just think like what decisions could we make with, let's just say broadly, we're the governor of Arkansas with all sorts of powers, let's say, and we could wave magic wands. What would be some of the things that we would do today that would set up Arkansas to be one of the best states in the United States? I think one of the things that we would do is have pro sports, because pro sports attract people to their neck of the woods. And, and I think that a soccer team makes a lot of sense. And at least soccer, even if we're saying, okay, in turning it into like more common language for people, the minor leagues or the second league, right? But it is one of the few sports where you could move up to the big times, right? It's got a possibility that doesn't exist in minor league baseball, right? It's not really a thing for basketball, nor is it really a thing for football, right? And so it is the gateway for us. So not only is it, it's good for Arkansas, it's a sport with a lot of trends, it's something that, that we probably need if you were looking out 20 years.
And that's such a huge thing. I mean, even, the Walmart local headquarter associate survey, one of the most popular things over the last several years has been, what are we missing? What do you wish you had? And this is, I think, evident and showcasing across, right? They just are probably the largest employer here in the state, but at least in Northwest Arkansas with their headquarter campus. And what do you wish you had here? Pro sports in their survey with the associates for the last several years.
It really is important for the state.
Thank you for joining us for this Stoppage Time special of the Pitch to Pro podcast. If you've enjoyed the conversation, you can click watch the full episode here. Be sure to tune in next Thursday for a new episode of the Pitch to Pro podcast,
the official podcast of Ozark United FC.
Available on YouTube, Instagram, and everywhere you get your podcasts.